You saw the title. I'm joining VMware as a Spring Developer Advocate, and I'm so excited about this move, and I want to tell you all about it, and we'll do it right after this. What's up, friends? Dan Vega here, and if you're new around here, I create tutorials on software development, architecture, programming languages, tools, frameworks, or whatever I'm working on at the moment. So if that's something you're interested in, please go ahead and hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and if you don't want to miss another video, hit that little bell notification icon. All of those things really help me out, and I appreciate it. Today, what we're talking about is a move that I've made recently. I have moved over to VMware as a Spring Developer Advocate. And if you are on my mailing list, you would have already found this out. If you follow me on Twitter, you would have already found this out. If you're not, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and sign up. It's free. You get free content to your mailbox every single day. You can do it right here on my homepage at danvega.dev. But for those of you who don't follow me on Twitter or through the mailing list, I figured this would be a good opportunity to go through and kind of talk about this move. It's one that I'm really excited about, and so much so that I wrote a blog post on this. So if you're here on my website, you can head over to the latest articles, or if you're watching this down the line, you can go over to the blog and do it and find it there. But I'm going to click on that, and we're just going to take some time to walk through this blog post and kind of give you my reaction, my update, kind of what's going on. So it's a pretty long blog post, and as I sat down, I had a lot of emotions kind of pouring out as I began to write it. The ones that really stuck out to me were excited and proud. Proud for just everything that I've kind of accomplished. You know, early on, programming was not easy. There was, definitely some struggles in the first few years trying to understand, what this career would look like and if it was for me or not. And so just kind of seeing where I've come from there, I'm just very proud of myself for the hard work that I've put in. And that's why I'm able to really tell people, that if programming is something you want to get into and you think that's a career you want to be in, you can do it. You just got to put in the time. You got to put in some effort. You got to really want to do it. And I think from that standpoint, I'm proud, excited about what opportunity lies ahead of me. As we'll get into here in this article, I've just been a big fan of Spring and the ecosystem, the community, and just to be a part of that now and being able to work on this stuff and create content every day. I'm really excited about that. So I also pointed out that, hey, a job should never really define your worth. You should kind of define that yourself. Know what you're worth. Not monetarily, just know what you are good at, what you're able to provide, your strengths, your weaknesses. A job should never define that. But this is a dream job for me, and you better believe I'm going to celebrate it. So I had this little image here, VMware, excellent company, voted one of the best places to work in 2022. And I've only been here a few days, and I can already see a lot of that. The onboarding process for such a large company has been amazing. Just the way they take care of their employees, it's really great. So then what I wanted to do was kind of go down a trip down the Spring memory lane. As I said, I've been a big fan of Spring for a while now. And so I thought I'd take a chance to kind of introduce you to my background with Spring. So I was first introduced to Spring around 2012. I did a couple of freelance projects in it, but this was traditional Spring. So I remember kind of being impressed with the versatility of the framework. But I also remember, some struggles, trying to figure out what dependencies played nice together, how to configure a basic application, just a web app was not easy. And so that was kind of my first introduction to it. Back in 2013, I was working for a company where we were moving a lot of our Cold Fusion-based web applications over to Groovy and Grails. I was a huge fan of Groovy because it made a lot of the things that were complex in Java really easy to do, and that's always exciting for me. Grails was this convention over configuration framework, and it allowed us to kind of focus in on business logic instead of the infrastructure and plumbing. For those who weren't around for the Groovy and Grails days, this is really what modern Java and Spring do for us today. All right, so the company I was working for sent a few of us out to Spring One in 2013, but I wasn't really there for Spring Framework or what was being announced with Spring Boot. I was really there because of Groovy and Grails and to see some of the people that I've looked up in the community, like Graham, Burt, Jeff Brown, Guillaume, Venkat, Ken Cousin, Paul King, Dan Woods, and so many more. And I learned so much from so many people at that conference. And I just remember the sheer volume of people at the conference. There's probably over 2,000 people there. And I'm used to going to conferences that were 300 people. So here are a couple pictures I remember I took from that conference. This one was from the room. And you can see there that what is now Levi's Stadium, where the San Francisco 49ers play, was being built at that time. So it wasn't even built yet, still construction. We got as close as we could and walked around there. So that was pretty cool. And then I got this USB key / bottle opener that I still have to this day. And I love that thing. So it was there in the opening night keynote where I first heard about Spring Boot. So remember, I'm just used to hearing, I've played around with Spring Framework. I've built a couple like side projects in it, but I haven't used Spring Boot yet. First time I heard about it was here. Adrian and Dave Sire gave a really good overview of what Spring Boot was basically going to do for Spring developers. And so I included a link to that keynote. If you haven't watched it or it's been a while, it's worth watching again just to see how far kind of Spring has come since 2013. A quote that stuck with me and really stays true today is that Spring Boot really puts the developer enjoyment back, and that's really true. So again, this was kind of my first impression of Spring Boot. While I was excited to hear about it, I was really walking away from there with some more Groovy and Grails knowledge and that I would use at work. So I started playing around with Spring Boot about 6 months later, around the time 1.0 was released in April of 2014. But again, at this time, I wasn't really using it for anything at work. I did prototype some applications. I remember trying to improve some performance of some other applications that were written. So I did that. But it really wasn't until 2015 that I really started using it. And so I made my triumphant return back to Spring One, which took place in September of 2015. And this was at the Marriott in Washington, D.C. I remember this fondly because my good friend Sam Farmer lives in D.C. And I got to spend some time with him and his family. And me and another coworker went out and we were tourists around D.C., which was really cool. So I had a great time. Here's some more pictures. Here's some kind of swag that I got. In this picture over here, I don't know if you could see it, the lower right one, you can see Dave and Josh Long putting a demo together. So that was pretty cool. But, I was here to learn about Spring Boot now. I realized that it was going to take over the Java world. So I took a lot of beginner courses on Spring Boot, Spring Data, Spring Cloud, and really focused on what a lot of the developers were asking. And the reason for this is I went there with a purpose. I wanted to create a new course on Spring Boot, and I wanted to learn as much as I could about it then. So I got home. Again, this is middle of September. I realized that there were some courses on Spring Boot already out there, but I thought I could offer a different perspective. And one thing I always like to share with everyone is a lot of people believe that you need to be an expert in a topic to go ahead and teach it. And that's a huge misconception. You just need to be one step ahead of your intended audience. So my audience was not experts. My audience was going to be people using Spring Boot for the first time. So I was now one step ahead of them, and I felt comfortable going ahead and putting together a curriculum for that. So I launched that course in November of 2015, just in time for the Udemy Black Friday sale. And that course would end up being almost 14 hours in length. And as of right now, I have close to 24,000 students worldwide. I cringe looking back at some of those videos. They're not great, but the content is still great. So don't let production quality stop you if you know that the content is going to be good. I've gone on to create 6 more courses, close to 140,000 students in 184 countries. And that still blows my mind, and I'm very grateful for that opportunity. That brings us to spring 2021, which was the end of last year. And this was my first time being selected to speak at Spring One. So this was really exciting. I think in 2020, I submitted something to Spring, but wasn't selected then. Selected in 2021, so that was pretty cool. Um, even though this wasn't in person, this was a virtual conference, it was still just like, wow, I get to share the virtual stage with like so many people that I've looked up to for a long time. So that was exciting for me. So I put a lot into this presentation. So my presentation was on full stack development with Spring Boot and Vue. If you follow me at all, you know I'm a big fan of Vue. Does the same for me that Spring Boot does on the back end. It takes a lot of those complex things and simplifies them down so I could really just focus in on what I'm trying to build. I think one of the big advantages for me was I was in a familiar setting, sitting here at my desk. I had my keyboard, my mouse, my multiple monitors. I make a lot of videos for YouTube or for courses, so it was a comfortable setting for me. So that kind of took some of the pressure off. So I thought it was going to be easy, but then I ran across something you don't really run across in person. At the time, I thankfully left my phone up. Usually I turn my phone around and I don't want any distractions. Luckily, I left it up because my now boss, Tasha, was texting me going, "You're off. Zoom dropped for everyone on our end, and you're probably talking to air right now," which I was. So for probably about 4 minutes. So I scrambled, logged back into Zoom, and I just picked up right where I left off. So as I said in the article, I like to think that maybe that left a little bit of an impression on my new team. So, and I also said in there I was very calm and collected. And what everyone fails to realize is that I've raised 2 babies in COVID. Very few things rattle me these days. So there's a video here if you want to watch that recording. There'll be a slight little gap in there because of that 4 minutes, but pretty cool. So spring 2022 and beyond. My hope is we get back to in person this year and I get to spend some time talking to all of you. So if we do and you're there, please come up, say hi. Let's chat about whatever is on your mind at the time. So that's my little history with Spring, and I figured I'd spend just a couple minutes also talking about kind of what brought me here. So back in 2018, I joined Tech Elevator. And as I said here, very few companies have left an impact on me the way that Tech Elevator did. It was just really great being around the students every day, the energy in there. Everybody who worked there just had the same goal and really bought into the mission. And that was to help people change their lives. You know, we had a median income coming into the program of $35,000 and going out 14 weeks later of $70,000. So literally changing people's lives. And that was just so cool to be a part of. I was a curriculum developer there, and so I got to work on all the curriculum both the students took and the instructors used. And so I got a chance to really affect the Java track and the Spring track and, help this move from Legacy Spring over to Spring Boot and IntelliJ. So just a lot of fun working on Java, Spring Boot there. And just in general, just loved being around the students and the instructors and everyone in that building who, like I said, bought into the same mission. I really hope I make it back there soon to kind of speak to some students again. And just wish nothing but the best for Tech Elevator. If you're watching this video and you're looking to make a change and get into tech, get into software development, or you know somebody that is, Tech Elevator is a great choice. I'm not getting paid to say that. I just truly believe in their mission and what they're doing. So if you want, give them a chance and check them out. So for the last year I spent with Brebug, ended up getting promoted to a principal enterprise architect there. It was a consulting company, so we have different clients, but I was actually on one client the entire time. The largest logistics company in the world, Fortune 50 company. I got to work on some projects that were really at scale. And the cool part about that is it was all Spring. So Spring Boot, Spring Cloud, we were running on PCF, a whole bunch of things going on. And one of the projects I worked on, I had a chance to kind of design from the ground up. And we went with a microservice architecture. And I think one of the things I really enjoyed there is a lot of the team was new to microservices and kind of this architecture that we were working with and just the different components that go into a microservice architecture in the Spring world. And so I got a chance to really be a mentor. And I set up an office hours meeting every single day where developers could come in and talk to me, ask questions. We can do code reviews. And so that was really my favorite part of that, was being that mentor. So, you take, the building of the curriculum, being a mentor, teaching, these are the things I've loved, and they have been throughout my entire career. So it's kind of, knowing that history, it's easy to look at now, right? Knowing that history, it's not hard to see how I ended up at VMware as a developer advocate. Being able to do what I love is teach, mentor, put demos together, find solutions to problems. So yeah, this is really my dream job. And you can go ahead and read the entire article. One thing I kind of encourage people to do is follow your passions. And people used to ask me this question all the time, which was, what is your superpower? And for the longest time, I'm like, I don't have any superpowers. I can't fly. But over time, I've kind of figured out that it is my ability to break down complex problems into easy to understand bite-sized chunks, also known as problem solving. And because of that, the other end of that is I also like, being able to explain things to other people. So I've learned how to do something. I don't want you to go through the same struggles that I did. Let me try to teach you in a different way, because everybody learns differently. And so I hope that I have a unique perspective and way of teaching. So that's kind of what I've learned over those years. So we'll talk quickly on VMware. Really thankful to my now boss, Tasha Eisenberg, for giving me this opportunity. I have joined a really awesome team. Josh Long, who everybody knows, someone I've looked up to for just a long time now. I'm eager to learn from him. Someone I knew before getting into this position was Nate. And Nate, just the easiest person in the world to talk to. And also, importantly, introduced me to Ted Lasso. So thank you, Nate, for that. So I also want to go ahead and jump over to this website here. So if you visit tanzu.vmware.com/developer, there's a whole developer center here, our Tanzu Developer Center. And if we go over to advocates, you can see a list of all the different advocates on our team. So many really smart people. I had a chance to sit in on just a 2-hour live coding session with Cora yesterday, and just blew my mind. She knows so much about Kubernetes and Docker and images and containers, and wow, just so much. So I'm excited to learn from all of them, the way that you guys can too. So if you ever hover over this Tanzu TV, there's a bunch of shows here, things like Tanzu Tuesdays, Code, .NET in the Wild, Between the Chair and a Keyboard, which is Nate's podcast, which I've been on. So much free content here, and hopefully you're going to start to see me on some of these. I know I'm going to be hanging out on Tanzu Tuesdays soon. I'll be doing some live coding on the Code live stream. So just a bunch of really great information here, all free, just to learn. So I really advise you go check it out. And obviously follow me on Twitter, and I'll make sure I let you know when everybody is up to and when we're doing stuff. So that's really it. I have some thank yous on here, just people that have really helped me throughout my career. You can't get there alone. You need some help along the way, and these people have really helped me out, whether they're really great friends, previous bosses, people who I don't know all that well, but reached out to me and helped me out. I can't thank you all enough, and I do appreciate you. So I think that's it. As you can tell, I'm really excited for the opportunity that lies ahead of me. If you have some ideas around content that you would like to see me make, go ahead and reach out to me on Twitter. Maybe you're struggling with something. Maybe you just don't understand a particular thing, or maybe you want to see how a project works. I'm going to be putting a bunch of content together for live streams and for talks coming up. So if there's something you want to see, please reach out to me and let me know. That would be awesome. So again, really excited. Can't wait to see some of you on the road this year. And with that, I will see you in the next video. And as always, friends, happy coding.